Untuk semua mahasiswa yang sedang tergabung dengan kita di webinar series untuk yang kedua kalinya. Hari ini pembicara kita adalah Dr. LIAN dari UPM Malaysia. Beberapa aturan yang perlu teman-teman mahasiswa ataupun partisipan lain yang ikut itu harus dipatuhi. Yang pertama adalah setiap partisipan harus menampilkan atau meng-on-kan video dengan berpakaian rapi. Jadi you are not allowed to wear chill clothes because this is kind of formal occasions. Dan diharapkan untuk setiap dari kalian bisa meng-off-kan mikrofon. Kemudian yang ketiga, ketika dari kalian mempunyai pertanyaan, silahkan tulis pertanyaan kalian di kolom chat. Kemudian nanti di sesi tanya jawab, saya sebagai moderator akan membacakan pertanyaan kalian untuk narasumber kita, Dr. LIAN. Kemudian yang keempat, untuk kalian yang mengharapkan sertifikat di akhir acara ini, silahkan bisa men-screenshot video webinar kita. Kemudian screenshot itu gambar saudara bisa dilingkari dan dikirimkan ke panitia, dan nanti ini sebagai bukti bahwa saudara benar-benar mengikuti acara webinar ini. Begitu. So this is I will speak in English probably for our colleagues from Malaysia, from maybe from Thailand as well. So you are asked to on your video during the webinar today, and then please mind that you are mute, so there will be no voice pollutions during our speakers' presentations, kind of like that. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Azam.
Yeah.
I think right now you are welcome to give a little opening speech, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ali. Okay, by the permission of our dean, Prof. Tandio Rahayu, and of course of all you, let me give me opening remarks on behalf of Faculty of Sports Science representative. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And hello everyone. The Honorable Dr. LIAN from Universiti Putra, Malaysia. The Honorable Dean Faculty of Sports Science, Prof. Tandio Rahayu, maybe in a little moment will be join with us. The Honorable of all management of Faculty Sports Science Management, Vice Dean, Head of Department, and all the management in the department, Head of International Office, Bu Heni, and especially Organizing Committee, Mrs. Raya, Mr. Lukman, Mr. Ivan, and of course, moderator, our quit moderator, Mr. Arif Ali. Thank you. And all participants, lecturers, as well as students, maybe from Universiti Semarang and from Universiti Putra, Malaysia as well. I hope all of you are in a very well condition. Amin.
Amin.
Thanks God, Alhamdulillah, Amin. In this condition, actually, we are in the first day in the relaxation, maybe relaxation or preparing new normal lifestyle. I think in Malaysia as well, facing new normal activity, right, Dr. Kok?
Yes, we are all the same.
Yes. Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. LIAN. Yeah, we are back to continue our second round international webinar series on physical education, sport, and public health. Firstly, our warm welcome to Dr. LIAN Yikok.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for accepting our request to share your knowledge, your information to all of our academic community regarding to this topic, In this second round webinar, actually we have 5 series in 5 days. It is on 5th and 9th June, and actually continuing from previous first webinar had on May. Today's session we will discuss about how hard was training, the importance of monitoring training loads. Yeah, I think it's very interesting topic to we discuss. To audience, please explore the knowledge deeply from Dr. Lian to understand well about this topic, and we hope all of us can get the maximum benefit of this webinar. Yeah, and as a management of the Fakultas Ilmu Keluargaan representative, we apologize if there is some limitation from us regarding the productive of this webinar. And our Dean, Prof. Tanyo, send warm regard to all of you, especially to Dr. Lian, and she also will be joined in a moment after his program soon. And Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, the third series of the second round international webinar series on physical education, sport, and public health officially open, and enjoy the webinar. Thank you, and I give back to moderator.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Azam, for the remarks speech. Right now, it's time for me. Probably some of you who don't know me, let me introduce myself first. So, my name is Ali. I am a lecturer from Faculty of Sports Science, Universitas Negeri Semarang, Indonesia, and I am so happy today because for the chance that I am chosen as your moderator for our speaker today, Dr. Lian. So as Mr. Azam mentioned earlier that our webinar series today, we are going to talk about how hard was training and the importance of monitoring training loads. So I think our audience today is quite homogeneous. So we do have 134 participants right now, and I do believe that in coming like a few minutes later, we are going to have more than 134. And for our audience today, so I would like to give you a little bit refreshment about what is the training load before our speaker giving us detailed information about it. So as an athlete strive to improve their performance, modification in training loads are required, particularly increases in frequency, durations, and intensity. Monitoring the training loads of an athlete is viewed by many as important to determine whether an athlete is adapting to the training program and to minimize the risk of non-functional overreaching, injuries, and illness. So the outline questions today is, what is the training loads? And what are the differences between external and internal training loads? And how do we monitor training loads? So we are so lucky today because we have our outstanding speaker. She is a fellow of ACSM, ASEAN. No, I'm so sorry. From she's a fellow of ACPES. I mean, ASEAN Council of Physical Education and Sport, and she is a senior lecturer from Universiti Putra, Malaysia. She is Dr. Lian Yekok. So because we cannot give her a big applause, so I would like to ask every audience to give her thumbs up before she's starting. Yeah, thumbs up. Thank you very much. So let me read her a little curriculum vitae. So Dr. Lian Yekok is teaching in physical conditioning, also in a coaching methodology field. Her research focused on optimization of performance and testing and assessments. For all our audience, I would like you to pay attention because I think our topic today is really important, not only for the professional sportmen, but also any one of you who are not athlete, but you are engaged in training program. So without further ado, I would like to give the time for our outstanding speaker, Dr. LIAN Yekok. The stage is yours, please.
Thank you, Dr. Arifali. Good morning, Dr. Mahathir Azam. Hello, my friends from UNED. It's been about maybe, I think, quite a long while since I last been to UNED. I miss UNED and all the friendliness. I hope all of you are safe and sound there. Okay. Thank you for inviting me. Today, I speak regarding a topic that I find very close to my heart, especially when you are handling athletes. Many coaches in Malaysia and the athletes themselves need to understand this concept of training load in order to make your training better. All right. So first of all, thank you, Dr. Ali, for giving me such a glowing compliment about me. But I would like to tell all the participants here today, I was an athlete. I've been through the suffering of training. I also enjoy making my athletes suffer a little bit. So I've had both the joy and the pain of training. I've watched my athletes grow. I think what I most enjoyed was helping the Malaysian netball team develop into one of the strongest teams in the ASEAN and the Asia region. I'm hoping that one day I can help Indonesia if Indonesia decide to take part in netball. Please, I'm more than willing to help Indonesia. So anyway, in my line as a lecturer in sports science and also a former coach, a former athlete, I would like to share with our participants here today. If you look at the screen now, you will see, I think if you're an athlete or you're a coach, this is something that is very common. You will look at coaches who just stand by the side and keep telling the people they are training, do more, run faster, go further, But if you look at the faces of those two runners, you will see the little boy in front who's running. He's got that lightning flash. Lightning flash shows that he's fast and he's not tired. But his friend behind him is already tired, even though they are running maybe the same distance. They could probably finish running in the same amount of time. Why do some athletes feel tired doing the same thing that the same coach has given them to do? All right. You also go to the gym. We do strength training. We do circuit training. There are many modes of training, but you have people doing the same repetitions, the same number of sets. How do you know training is harder for which athlete? Are we all the same? Many football, let's say team sport, football teams, it is quite common for a coach to train 20 to 30 athletes at one time. Even my netball team goes between 15 to 25 athletes sometimes. So which training, how is my training the same for all the athletes in front of me? Are some trains, is it too easy for some athletes? Which of my athletes train more? Now, so by making some train more and some make training look so easy, which one will actually improve? So these questions are questions that we need to answer when we look at training loads, right? So before we can do anything, we need to understand, first of all, what is the training load? To answer this question, let's look at the definition of a training load. When we train, whether we like it or not, training is a stress. It can be a happy stress. You know, like these few weeks, well, it's going to months. I don't know about Indonesia. I have been locked up in my house for about 3 months. And for the first few months, I couldn't even go outside to exercise. I had to exercise inside my house. It got to a point where I enjoyed jumping up and down, doing circuit training, HIIT. But the next day, I feel pain. My body is under stress. Many of us go through stress when we are training. And according to Borden in 2017, this type of training stress needs to be recorded by coaches. Now, this is a question that I would like to now ask those of you in front of me who are training as athletes and who could be coaching already. Do you record how hard or how easy training is? All right. So today's talk will look at, do we know how to record how hard was training? Whether training was a stress is what we call training load. In Malaysia, we have a term that we use. We call it beban latihan, a training load. All right. So when we decide the training load, it helps us to understand that, number one, 20 athletes in front of us do not face training the same way, even though if we give them the same program. You can ask everyone to run 10 kilometers, but not everyone get the same amount of stress. So we need to know, when we plan training, is that training suitable for everyone in front of us? All right? How does everyone adapt to training? You have some people with the same training program who will improve very fast, but some will not improve. So by doing and recording the training load, we are not looking at the group as a whole, but we are looking at individually, how do our athletes react to training, right? And then we need to know, this will help us understand why athlete A is really tired the next day, but athlete B may be totally fine. Because the fatigue and how they recover from training is also individual. When we have 20 athletes in front of us, we push everyone the same way. For those who cannot cope with this training load, they increase their risk of injury. So this is where I'm asking everyone to reconsider training. Don't think that you make one program and everyone in front of you does the same training program. Because even if you have the same training program, that training stress is different from everybody. So this training stress is called the training load. And today, I hope to share with you to discuss how are we going to figure out what is the training load for every different person. So training load has been examined quite with more intensity starting in 2014. If you look at a lot of research regarding training load, there was a very important, I would say, a conference all regarding training load in Doha, in what was called the Aspire Academy in Doha in 2016. Now, based on a lot of the work there, they have decided to standardize some terminology to try and understand better about what training loads are, okay? So the conclusion came to training loads can be separated into internal training loads and external training loads. Yeah. So internal training loads is physiological and psychological stresses. That's internal. And how do we measure internal training loads? Many of us, we will take heart rates, we look at blood lactate. We can measure how much oxygen is being used and expelled. And then there is a more subjective one that we call ratings of perceived exertion, or RPE. RPE is like a scale. I will give an example in a little while. So all these are internal loads. So when the person is training, we need to examine their heart rate. We need to examine to see whether their blood lactate is high or low. If training is easy for you, especially, I'm sure Dr. Arif Ali is quite fit. So if I send you through a training program, your blood lactate might not be very high. But for somebody who is finding that strain, they will find that the level of blood lactate has gone up. Okay. So these are all called internal training loads, and they place a stress on your mind. We all know if the coach is terrible, like me, like Dr. Lian here, if it's terrible, you in your mind, you are saying that she's killing me. It's difficult, I give up. So that is what we call a psychological stress. When it's bad for you, you feel tired. Okay? Now, so then we look at the external loads. External training loads are objective measures of work that you perform. We can calculate it, we can see it on the outside. We can normally measure through the distance that you run, the speed you are running, how many repetitions you can do. All right. And we normally use equipment such as timing device. And lately, I know many people have this. I'm one of those who use it. I have what we call a smart watch. My watch is very smart. I'm not very smart. So I have a smart watch, and my watch will tell me how far did I go. But my watch is even smarter because my watch can tell me what is my heart rate. So basically now, even though I have a watch that measures external for me, it also has an internal reading because it tells me my heart rate. Okay? So now we know we can look at how bad training is or how good training was, depending on some kind of reactions to stress that our body gives out. Okay? So 2 types of training load: internal training load and external training load. Now, I know this is very complicated, it's very small, don't worry too much about the table, but this is a summary. This is a summary of the types of variables that have been used in the studies in roughly the last 10 years. So you can see for internal, they have looked at things that I've said, RTE. I did not talk about TRIMS. TRIM is a measure of training impulse. Training impulse basically is just a combination of intensity and volume. You multiply the two, okay? Then there are all the lists of the heart rate, oxygen, blood lactate, okay? External ones, they measure how long, time, how often, the distance, all right? What's the power, what's your speed, what's your acceleration? We can use video cameras. We now have video analysis, and over video analysis, we can also try to figure out what was the distance you covered. This is used a lot. External loading have been used very commonly for sport that does not allow you to wear watches or polar heart rate monitors. So if you look at EPL, I was made to understand EPL. You know how much those players and the team managers and those clubs, how much money they have. So in any one game, I was made to understand Manchester United hires roughly about 20 people analyzing the game from the stand. So they will be able to have a video analysis immediately, looking at various parameters. And these parameters, other than telling you where they're attacking from, they also will eventually be analyzed for how did the players do in terms of competition stress, the training stress, okay? So this is a summary of all the methods used to measure internal and external loads. This again, I picked 3 or 4, the more current research regarding athlete training loads. You can find these as long as you just have to Google training loads, and I'm sure you can find quite a number of these articles. They are getting more and more scientific. We are trying to use this to remove. I'm not sure how it's happening in Indonesia. Maybe we can have a discussion with this. But in Malaysia, I find that many of our coaches don't bother about training loads. They may be training a team of, like many players, many athletes, but they make one program. And that one program is the same for all 25 to 30 athletes. And when I ask them, at the end of training, how did your athletes do? What is the load? They can show me a training plan that's got many lines, a line for intensity, a line for volume. You know, if you look at all these periodization tables, you will look at line for intensity, line for volume, but nobody tells me, were the athletes tired? They tell you today they have to do light training, tomorrow they do medium training, the next day they do high training. So I ask them, what is the meaning of small? What is the meaning of medium? What is the meaning of a high load, a training load? But nobody is able to really tell me, right? We don't need to draw lines. I would suggest for the group in front of me today, let's look at the basics of calculating training load. When you read articles, some articles have very big names and you may not be able to understand. And sometimes the language can be a bit difficult to understand. But I say we go back to basics. We go back to two words that all of you from year one will learn: volume and intensity. When we train athletes, we want to know how much they train, what is the training load. We need to identify what was the volume and what was the intensity. If you understood what I said about external loads and internal load, you will find that volume roughly translates to the external load, and intensity will roughly translate to your internal load. So we can estimate the training load and how hard training was for our athletes by looking at these two things. I'm not sure what the Indonesian terminology for volume and intensity is, but in Malaysia we use volume, we call it isi padu latihan, and intensity we call it intensity atau kesukaran latihan. All right? So these are the two things. We need to measure these two, hopefully using field assessment. Now, lactic acid for me is very accurate, but how many athletes like to be poked every time after 1 minute of running, they come to you and put your finger out and ask, can you please take some blood from me? Nobody is going to give you a blood. When I did a lot of blood testing, I was called Count Dracula because they were afraid to see me. I would take blood. So now we want to calculate. Let's calculate training loads. There are research that say that we can choose either to use internal training loads only, or we can also use external training loads only. But my personal opinion is I would prefer to use both. For example, I'll give one example I like to use for my students. You have somebody training for strength now, and that person has 100 kg on a barbell. And this person is going to lift 100 kg 2 times, okay? So he's going to lift 100 kg 2 times. If we look at external loads, he has lifted a total of 200 kg, correct? All right. But let's look at somebody who's working somewhere where he needs to lift a bag. This bag is 2 kilograms, but he has to work from 9 to 5, and he lifts this 2 kilogram packet 100 times. After 9 hours of work, he has also lifted 200 kilograms. Whose load was worse? Is it harder to lift 100 kilograms 2 times, or to lift 2 kilograms over a course of 100 times? Now, we can't really say that because, like, if I were really strong and I'm used to working, lifting 100 times of 2 kilograms may not also be difficult for me. All right? So it is confusing because your measurement of training load, your kilogram is the same, but whose internal load was harder. So that's why I don't like to use just measurement of internal load or measurement of external loads. I would prefer to measure internal and external. We combine the two. Back to basics. You take volume, you take intensity. Let's use some field tests, simple field tests. And today, many of you, no smartwatch, you have a smartphone. So the smartphone in your pocket will tell you how far you went, how fast you went. It can also measure your heart rate if you have an app. Just put your finger there, it will tell you your heart rate. So by using these simple things that we have, many of us have, we can already estimate what is our training load, okay? So we need to do a little calculation in a little while, but basically let's look at it. Remember what I said? I would estimate, I would sort of equate volume to external load, intensity to our internal load. And if I take these things, everyday things, especially during COVID-19 and we are all practicing just, we are training on our own, I normally look at how either the time, how long did I exercise or how far I moved for the volume. And then in terms of intensity, measuring heart rate would be easiest because my watch can measure my heart rate, my phone can measure my heart rate. However, lately, many coaches have also resorted to using what we call a session RPE. RPE, I said earlier, was the rate of perceived exertion, all right? So a session RPE would be, I put you through a training session. At the end of the session, I ask you to rank from number 1 to number 10, how hard was training. So it is equated to being a part of internal load and its intensity. It helps you measure intensity of training. So this might make it clearer. For instance, on the left is the RPE is the current number that we use. It's a scale of 1 to 10. In a scale of 1 to 10, at the end of the training, your coach will ask you, how was training on 1 to 10? And you say, oh, today I gave the intensity to be number 7. Now, what is number 7? Number 7 for me is hard. It is quite hard training. I was running. I can still talk, but I really don't want to talk anymore, you know, because I'm sweating a lot. And then, you know, if I'm running with Dr. Arif Ali, I'll say, Ali, run faster. That's all I can say. But if today's training is, for instance, like maybe number 3. Number 3 is, I'm comfortable, but I'm breathing a little harder. I may be able to sing, but it is not easy to sing in tune. So RPE is subjective. It is when we do not have a heart rate monitor, we sometimes find it difficult to assess the heart rate, like strength training. Strength training is not easy to assess your heart rate because your heart rate changes not a lot, okay? So now we use RPE. The problem with RPE is it is subjective. It is subjective, meaning that I think it's number 7, but you think it's number 8. There's not a lot of difference between 7 and 8. So it is not very objective if you are not trained to do it. So your athletes have to be trained to use RPE for intensity, okay? Now on your right, I would like to discuss with you before we go into some calculations regarding heart rate zones. Now heart rate zones are easier to handle because our heart rate can get quite high. Most of us train, once we start running, our heart rate can be from 120 until maybe 180, depending on how fast you run. So rather than use the number alone, I will put them into 5 zones with the maximum 100% as your maximal heart rate. I assume you all have been taught what is the maximum heart rate. There is an equation there that can help you based on age. If you look at the equation, what it basically says that it's there is a equation there for you to calculate your maximum heart rate. If you're 20 years old or whatever your age now, you might want to try to calculate your maximum heart rate now. Okay, try it out. When you get your maximum heart rate, you should measure. If you are running in zone 5, your heart rate will be in the 90 to 100% heart rate there. Okay, or you could be running in zone 2. If you're running in zone 2, your heart rate is lower. It will be a number that is 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. So these are the two things that we will be using to estimate. Okay, let's do a little math. I think many of you in front of me are about 20 years old, maybe up to 22, 23 years old. But I will take an example using somebody who is 20 years old. And our training, a lot of our sport is what we call running-based activities. Now, I know circuit training is not necessarily running, but many of our sport will involve some form of movement that will carry us somewhere, like even lunging. We can do forward lunging to the front or lunging to the side. We will put everything here and call them run-based activities, okay? So when you have a run-based activity or even swim-based activity, we can use the same type of calculation for training load. The first example I'm going to give is regarding interval training, or it could be circuit training, okay, for a 20-year-old. Now, if you go back to this equation, if you look at the top equation here I'm giving you, look at this equation, and if your age is 20 years old, if your age is 20 years old, and I use this equation, my maximum heart rate will be 193, okay? So if we use that equation, you have your maximum 193, and what you need to do, what you can do now is to find out, let's look at this training. This training, I gave two examples. One training, this coach said today we are doing interval training. During interval training, I want you to run 200 meters in 1 minute. This is not very fast, okay? 200 meters in 1 minute, okay? And then during this, you have to run this 3 sets, 5 repetitions for 3 sets, which means that in total, you will do 15 repetitions, okay? Now let's go through this again. This is interval training. You run 200 meters in 1 minute, then you walk 50 meters in 1 minute. Then you run again 200 meters, and then you walk again 50 meters. You repeat this for 5 times. This is called 1 set. After this, you rest. You will do set number 2 and do set number 3. Throughout the time, you will have a heart rate recording. Your average heart rate recording for the run will come up to, say, 160 beats per minute, okay? If your maximum heart rate is 193, 160 beats per minute means that you are working in zone 4. You're working in zone 4, and that because the working is like this. So your heart rate is 160, your maximum is 193. This, you put it to a percentage, you are working at 83%. Now I'll bring you back here. 83% makes you work at zone 4. All right? Now, what about this walking? People think walking is resting. Not really. In interval training, your heart rate will go up when you work. Your heart rate will still be a little higher when you're recovering. Okay? So your training is both of this, the run and the walk. So when you walk 50 meters in 1 minute, your average heart rate is 120. All right? So what zone are you in? 120 over your maximum heart rate divided times by 100, you get 62%. Now 62% puts you at zone number 2. Okay? So now you know when you are doing your interval training, your work is zone 4, your walk is zone 2. How many minutes were you in zone 4? You were in zone 4 for 15 minutes because you have 15 repetitions. You were in zone 2 for 15 minutes and you also did 15 repetitions. So in total, you have actually done training for 30 minutes. Okay? So in order to calculate your training load, let's look at the run. You ran for 1 minute, 15 times, all right? Times 4, because you are in zone 4. So your running is 60 units of training load. Your walking is, you did 1 minute of walking 15 times in zone 2, because your heart rate is in zone 2. So this gives you 30 units of training load. In total, your work was, your work in total was 30 minutes. 15 minutes of running, 15 minutes of walking. In 30 minutes, you combine these two, your training load units is 90 units. Okay? So as a coach today, I know, I can record this. If I have another athlete, that athlete is running with a different heart rate, different age and all that, your athlete will not have the same training workload. Every athlete has one training workload. So if tomorrow, I know, I do another training, if today's training is hard training, tomorrow I may do lighter training, and tomorrow's training could be just 60 units. But if this is light training for them today, tomorrow I can add on the units and make it 120 units. So I know how much my athletes are training by looking at the training load calculation. And I just want to repeat, how do I train? How do I find training load? Volume times intensity. So volume here is the amount of time training. They did training for 30 minutes. So where is the intensity? Their intensity had 2 levels. The first intensity is zone 4. The second intensity is zone 2. In total, the volume plus the intensity gave me a combined training load of 90 units. Okay? If I do not if let's say I do not have interval training, today I have long, slow distance. Long, slow distance means I can swim, I can cycle, I can run, but I do continuously. Let's say my long, slow distance is 40 minutes, and the entire time, my heart rate is in zone 4. So 40 minutes multiplied by zone 4, 4 times 40 gives me 160, 160 units of training. Okay? So this is how I estimate training units if I have distance or time and heart rate. Okay? So I can also substitute this for skill training. For instance, many people talk about football. In football, you don't only do interval training. You sometimes have to practice football. You do have to practice football. But football also involves running. Running, dribbling, sprinting. All right? So let's say this drill now, same person, he is also a footballer. He is age 20 years old. So we know his maximum heart rate is 193. Now his coach has a drill for him. The drill is to dribble around some cones. Then he has to sprint, and then he runs towards the goal post and he scores. Everything, this entire thing takes him 30 seconds. Okay? In 30 seconds, he has to repeat this again 15 times. All right? So let's say this again. He dribble around the cone, he sprint to the goal, and he score. So this is like one round, and he does it in 30 seconds. Then he jogs slowly back to the start. in 50 meters, and then he wait to start again. So this is skill training, but the coach will be looking at his heart rate and looking at the heart rate also when he is jogging. So he does the same thing again. 3 sets of 5 repetitions, which is 15 times. But this time, his work is 30 seconds. All right, so he does 15 times of 30 seconds is 7.5 minutes of work. But his rest is 15 minutes. So we do the same calculation for this one drill. For this one drill, his work is 30 units, his rest unit is 30 units, and his training load unit for one drill is 60 units. So if let's say now coach goes to, okay, training drill number 2, training drill number 3. So the coach has all the training load units. He needs to record this. And the reason is so that he knows every day, is my training hard or easy? If today the total training load for this number, the coach thinks is heavy, tomorrow, the next session, please don't do too hard. Do your training so that your athletes have a chance to recover. Okay, and then now, our last issue is about strength training. Strength training is the most confusing because, like I said, I gave you the first example. You have one person lifting 200 kilograms, but only 100 kilograms, but only 2 times. So he's lifted 200 kilograms. But I have another person who has lifted 2 kilograms 100 times. How do we decide who is harder, who is easier? So for strength training, for those of you who want to do some research, you might want to try to figure out how to calculate the training load for strength studies, strength and power studies. So there is disagreement over how do we determine training load for strength and training load for power. So commonly used is what we call the volume load. Volume load means you take the total number of repetitions you have done today, multiply by your load. If today I have been lifting 50 kilograms for the first exercise and I did 30 reps, 50 times 30 is already 1,500, correct? 50 times 30, yeah, 1,500 kg. Exercise number 2, exercise number 3, number 4, number 5. Put all the kg together. That will give you your volume load. So at the end of training, go back to RPE. The coach must ask, the coach must tell the athletes, today, your training load is 1,000 kg. Did you feel tired? What is your RPE? Number 1 to number 10. Are you very tired? Not so tired. So the coach can match the load with whether that athlete is tired or not. So the athlete say 1,000 kg for me, easy peasy, no problem. So you know a 1,000 kg load is easy for this athlete. Okay, so you have to manipulate training. So the next session will be say more than 1,000, 1,500. Ask him again, what is your RPE? Are you feeling tired or not tired? So this is how the coach will do. We will look at training load for power and strength currently. Okay. So if we look at a table down here, look at the table down here, you have 4 exercises. These are exercises for power. You have power snatch, snatch pull from floor, snatch pull from the knee, and snatch grip. Now, if you look at this, you look at 3 sets of 5 repetitions and the loads. So what we have at the end here, this is the total volume load. Okay. Total volume load, you can change it to a metric ton. So you can put this as your index. Index is 6.4, 6.5, and then you can, what you can do is to see whether we have a scale. All right, you can match their intensity. And then the last one here that I want to show you is related to tennis, just like football. What does a coach do? See, this is a skill. Like you go to tennis court, you go to the badminton court, you have a few skills. And skill, you get Let's say you did 120 repetitions, and then the coach asks you, easy or hard? You say number 5. So number 5 times 120 gives you a training load of 600. Now your heart rate is 140. Now we know 140 is not very high. You can also take this and change it to heart rate zone. Heart rate zone times this can also give you a training load reading. Okay? So make some notes. The coach makes some notes. This is an example to show you how does a coach record training load to make it useful. So we look at it, we know for player A, they did the same amount of training, but player A didn't find it very hard. Player C found it very hard. Okay? So you need to make a record that this number for player C is hard. Training load is hard. But for player A, training load is not hard. Okay? So now we also have another way. This is for the same athlete, but looking at different types of training and how a coach will record the training load. So the coach needs to keep all of these records for this reason. You can put it in a table form, or you can record it like this to tell you that when you played this on day one, this was your load, day 2, day 3, and so on. These are samples of recordings of training loads. Another sample, this sample came from an Excel sheet. Many of you are very good with Excel. You have data, you can put it in Excel and you can do comparisons. You can record everything, you compare your data. Okay? And why do we do that? Now, I've come to this part here where I'm going to give you an overall. I told you what is training load. I've showed you an example of how we can calculate just by using volume and intensity. All right? So now we have the training load. We have all this data. How does it help you? Number one, it helps you to plan your training. Like I said, I need to discover my athletes first. If I know my athlete's training load for them, heavy is 1,000, medium is 750, light is 500. So now I can plan. I can plan tomorrow's training, I want heavy. If I want heavy, I must make sure I manipulate about 1,000. But the next day, I know I shouldn't give them another heavy day. I want a light day training. I will manipulate and plan training so that the number for training load is lower, nearer 500. Okay? So knowing this number helps us. It helps us to tell the athletes, when we say train more, I have data to tell them, look, you're telling me you're very tired, but your training load is actually not a lot today. Can you tell me what's wrong with you? Are you hurt? Are you okay? All right. Number two, if we don't do this, sometimes the fitness level of our athletes will start to go down. If let's say every day, we know light for them is 500, but every day we do 500 units, the athletes will not improve. The athletes' training load must get heavier, but heavier in a safe way. So it helps us to plan training. Okay? Number two, if we do everything properly, our athletes, just by giving them the numbers, we should be able to estimate whether our athletes are training too hard or too easy. They cannot tell us if I know my athlete can, heavy training is 1,000 kg or 1,000 units. I ask the athlete for RPE, 1,000. She is supposed to be facing heavy training, but she tell me today, oh coach, my RPE is only 3. Now in my class, I will ask, was my training easy or has she become stronger? So I need to use this so that I can help my athletes. I don't want my athletes to train too hard and I don't want them to train too easy. If I make them train too hard, they can get hurt. If I make them train too easy, they will not improve. So this is what I find I have issues when I do coach education in Malaysia, because many coaches don't record, they don't understand, and they don't do this. When they don't do this, it's like, you know, in Malaysia, we have a term, we like to use agak-agak. Is that used in Indonesia? Because agak-agak means more or less. Now, you cannot be a coach and produce world-class athletes by having more or less. If you want good training, you want good athletes, you have to record your training load. All right? And the future coaches, your future coaches, you have to ask, I have to ask you this question. How can training loads lead to an improvement in the quality of coaching? If you understood what I said today, you would ask yourself this question and make yourself become coaches who place importance on training loads. All right? So with that, I will be ready to take some questions. And thank you very much for listening. Hi, Dr. Ali. Have I lost Dr. Ali?
Hi, LIAN.
Hey, hi, Prof. How are you? My good friend.
Hi, thank you so much. Yeah,
You're
hi.
welcome.
Okay. I heard that Ali have some device trouble. He
No worries.
out from the room.
Okay.
Now I will take his place.
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So of course, first, thank you so much.
No worries.
And I will open the question and answer, everyone. Okay, I will read the question from the chat room, LIAN.
Yep.
From Mr. Eki Aldapit.
Okay.
How to determine the training load calculation for swimming?
Okay. I am looking at the chat as well, and I see that Mr. Eki Aldapit, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, swimming would be like any other, like running. It's just that you need to take the heart rate either at the end of every lap, or you need some waterproof equipment, because I think watches would be good. You know, our smartwatch, the smartwatch is waterproof, basically. So you still take your distance will be measured. Distance and time can be measured like normally, but you take the heart rate either using the smartwatch or you have to palpate. But I think smartwatches is the way to go. Is that okay? So you do the same, just like the example I gave. You need to see, like for instance, the distance that was covered, all right, or the time in training, what was the heart rate? So for each, let's say you did interval training of, say, 100 meters, and in 100 meters, what's the average heart rate? And then after that, the rest recovery heart rate, you look at the time, or you look at the distance to use for volume. And at the same time, the heart rate will be representative of the intensity. Multiply the two together will give you a unit.
Okay. Another question, please, from the audience, participant, students, hello, or colleague. Someone is writing. Okay.
Yeah.
Raya, Miss Raya, are you there? Miss Raya? Okay. Anyone have a questions for Miss LIAN?
I have a, you can untuk student di UNES, saya sebenarnya boleh jawab dalam
bahasa.
Ya, dalam bahasa. Soalan dulu. Ya, tak ada masalah.
Ya, silakan. Kalau mau bertanya dalam bahasa Indonesia, silakan tulis di chat. Tulis di chat dan akan saya bacakan. Silahkan menulis dalam bahasa Indonesia.
Saya antara amat jelas atau amat tidak jelas.
Amat sangat jelas. Karena terlalu jelas maka tidak ada yang bertanya. Okay. Anyone? Please. Hello. From the Mr. Agus Widodo. Please, any questions?
Ada siapa yang dulu latih dekat sini? Atau atlet?
Ada di pelatih ini, pelatih track and field.
Pelatih
Agus.
track and field. Ada siapa yang ada coach atau mereka sendiri catat?
Ini Agus ini coach.
Agus, my friend. How is Agus?
Agus.
Yeah, Agus, yeah.
Yes, I am. I am Agus. I am from physical education department.
So do you record? Adakah Agus record?
Yes, I am ex-race walk athlete. I have time 46 in 10 kilometer.
Very good. And when you do interval training, do you record your like the suggestion?
I think, yeah. My training is last year's school, maybe 20 years ago. So now I not train again because I'm to be lecturer, so I can to train again.
Yeah.
Okay. Miss Lian, I want to ask for you. When I young, I have interval training.
Yeah.
Until 35 time, 400 meter, 35 time.
Wow.
Yes, I was young. It's very tired.
Yes.
And then I go to training center in Jakarta. My coach only give me interval training only 6 time, but more fast.
Yes.
400 only must have time 1 minute 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But only 6 time.
Yes.
And for you, for you about this my training, how about my training is better for a lot of interval or only little interval, but include in the intensity.
Okay, Agus, you
Yes.
are an athlete for long distance for 10K?
Race walk. I'm race walk athlete.
Sorry, a walk. You walk 10K or 20K?
Yes, 10 kilo. 10 until 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
10 or 20 kilo.
Yeah. You can run if you run 400 meters and do it 35 times. It depends on the. I would say it depends on you.
Yes.
And what is your coach objective for you? On that day, are you training for endurance, daya tahan?
Yes.
Or are you training for speed?
Yes, I see.
So both your coaches are not wrong.
Yes.
If 35 times,
Yes.
and I want you to run at a certain pace, it could be new season, and I want you to train for endurance.
Yes.
But your coach that make you do 6 times but faster, could be emphasizing kelajuan or the finish.
Or speed.
Yes. So it
speed.
depends on the training objective. There's no rule saying that you must do 35 or you must do 6. We must see whether. So let's say if you do 6, on the day you do 6, you have to do fast, and you only do 6 times. When you do fast, what is your heart rate? Do you remember?
Yes, I remember.
What's your heart rate?
119.
Okay,
Fast.
190, and you were young then, quite young?
Yes.
So I will say that is 90%, you zone 5, Aju,
Yeah.
zone 5.
Yes.
And zone 5 heart rate, your time every 400 meters, how fast?
Yes.
Timing, what's the time?
Yes, I have time 1 minute 20, 1 minute 20 seconds.
Okay, 1 minute 20 seconds. You
Yes,
did
400 meter.
6 times? 6
Yes,
times?
6 time, only 6 time.
So total is 6 20 times 600.
240.
Huh? 8 minutes.
Yes.
8 minutes. So
Yes.
for 8 minutes, you are in zone 5. Okay? 8 times zone 5, what is the training load? 40. 40. 40.
Yeah.
Right?
40.
8 minit
Okay.
kerja, 8
Yeah.
minit kerja,
Yeah.
zone 5. Okay?
Okay.
So
Okay.
unit beban,
Hmm.
unit beban will be 40. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Now, kita balik ke coach fixer anda. Okay.
Yes.
35 times.
Yeah.
35
35
times.
times. Okay. 35.
Heart rate. What is your average heart rate? What was your average?
160. 160.
160, zone
Yeah.
4. Zone 4. Okay?
Yeah.
Every
400.
time 100 meters,
Yeah. Yeah.
what was your speed? What was your speed?
2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes until 2 minutes 10 seconds. 2
Okay.
minutes until 10 seconds.
Okay. Let's take it at 2 minutes. Okay?
Yeah.
And you
Yes.
did 35 times. That
Yes.
is 70. 70. 70. Okay?
Yeah.
70 zone 4. Apa unit dia? 280. Betul? So
Yeah.
when you did another training, beban latihan hanya 40. Tapi latihan yang tu, beban latihan 280. Tak ada betul salah. Apa objektif latihan?
Okay.
Jika latihan untuk endurance, it will be hard. 280. Maybe too hard. I don't know. Did you get hurt? Did you get hurt? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But the 40 units might be speed training. Because if I'm training you for speed, no point going many times. Because when you're tired, you cannot give me speed.
Yes.
So that's why we use the training load. So if you are training your athletes now, you decide. If today is endurance, the training load will be very big number. But if you're training for speed, because you need them to be fresh, so your training load number will be small. Okay?
Okay. Okay, thank you, Ms. Lian. Thank you.
Okay, Lian.
No
We have
worries.
another questions.
Okay.
We have another questions from Vidya Stuti. I have an athlete with a range of age between 7 to 9 years.
Yep.
But the parents want their children to be champion in that age.
For 7 to 9. Okay.
How can we give the kind of training for that athletes for swimming? For swimming,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think who is this now? Sorry, Vidya Stuti.
Vidya Stuti.
Yeah, Vidya Stuti needs to tell the parents, number one, the system respiratory belum lagi develop dengan baik. So jangan push, jangan terlalu menekankan latihan cardiorespiratory. Renang memerlukan kemahiran. Jika tak mahir, dia takkan laju. Untuk umur 7 hingga 9 tahun, saya cadangkan minta atlet itu membaiki kemahiran stroke swimming. Kerana bila kemahiran tinggi, dia juga akan laju. Tapi jangan cuba bina dia punya stamina. Dia punya cardiorespiratory kerana dia punya sistem pertumbuhan tak sedia lagi. So basically in English, I will repeat, 7 to 9 year old, their cardio system, their cardiorespiratory system is not ready for development for a high level. But they will improve because swimming is very technical. Swimming is very technical. You can teach them how to swim properly. If their technique is correct, they will also go fast. They will probably become champions by being good in the stroke. So focus on technique development, do not focus on cardio development. They will have a little bit of improvement just by being in training, but don't push them for endurance for distance. Push them for short distance, but for technique. that will work.
Oke, Widya Stuti, jelas ya. Jadi berikut ini pertanyaan dari Rizka, saya kira sudah terjawab juga untuk pemula ya.
Ya, sama.
Selanjutnya adalah pertanyaan dari Mahatma Aditya Wijaya. Mahatma, I read in Indonesian, I read in bahasa LIAN. Ketika seorang atlet telah berhenti latihan selama stop training for several times, beban latihan seperti apa dan peningkatannya agar kembali ke kondisi semula?
I think yang nombor satu adalah saya tak pasti adakah dia cedera baru berhenti. Because kalau cedera, dia perlu pasti kecederaan itu di bahagian tersebut itu dah baik, dah pulih. Kerana jika saya just kata boleh balik training seperti biasa, nanti bahagian yang cedera tu tak pulih lagi. Kita kena faham kalau dia just berhenti kerana dia terpaksa berhenti, dia perlu start training daripada asas. Dia kena balik ke asas. Tapi peningkatan dia akan lebih cepat daripada zaman permulaan. If I make that clear. See, I don't know whether that person is injured. If, for instance, the person is injured on the leg, I cannot say let's start running again. So that person has to recover from the injury first. But if that person stopped training because like COVID, many people are telling me they have no training because they are now currently at home and they cannot train. If you cannot train, when you start training, you have to start from zero. But your improvement will come faster than when you first started training, the first round of training. So now, hopefully, you can see improvement faster. No changes, just do the normal basic, start from basic again.
Okay. I have no. From Rivan, how long I need to increase speed capability?
Wow. I need some more actually info, like for instance, is this a sprinter we are talking about? Normally, in order to get speed, to improve speed, first of all, you must choose your parents. Genetically, you must be fast. That will give you 50%, okay? Now, you can train, but in order to be fast, you have to be strong first. So before you do speed training, you have to do strength training first. After you get the strength training, then you have to do some of the other training. There's no time limit. It's really, there are many, many factors. Speed, but like because speed is genetically inclined, you will find that if I find a very young, talented, fast athlete, I will focus on speed even though that person is a child. You will find many children are very fast because it is genetic. But how fast they become, will they become ASEAN number 100 meter sprinter? We can't tell later because that's the part we have to build their strength and their power.
Yeah.
But if you want to you want to train your athletes to be fast, watch them when they're children. But like I said just now about the earlier one, the one who wanted to become a good swimmer, teach young athletes technique. Make them technically correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Then the speed will come, the skill will come.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Nice answer, LIAN. For young age, technique is the first.
Yeah. If you run correctly with the correct technique,
the effective skill, effective movement. It's number one before they are physically strength or speed or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one, I think. One more, LIAN, please.
Sure,
one more question.
Can anybody?
Yeah. Okay. This is from Chutniken. apakah penyamaan is the same training load for Wushu and Muay Thai, effectiveness for peningkatan kualitas atlet dalam mencapai batas maksimal.
I'm not sure what does that mean in terms, is it strength? The batas maksimal is what?
Yeah, batas maksimum, yeah.
It's like strength, yeah. Strength.
Yeah.
Basic strength doesn't matter what sport. If you want to look at kekuatan asas, dia tak kira sukan Muay Thai atau sukan Wushu.
Yeah.
Selepas kita dah latih asas kekuatan, barulah you pergi ke kekuatan yang untuk sukan itu. So what maksud dia adalah, so you boleh bina kekuatan yang menggunakan pergerakan yang tiada kaitan dengan apa-apa sukan pun. Semua sukan boleh pakai. Bila mereka dah kuat, yang pergerakan asas itu, barulah bina kekuatan yang berkaitan dengan sukan itu. Sebagai contoh, Wushu ada banyak pergerakan di mana mereka cangkung separuh, lepas itu lompat. Tapi Muay Thai tidak. Muay Thai banyak kepada, how do we say, swing of the leg, jump, swing of the leg. So dia lebih kepada, dia lebih dynamic. Okay? So asas latihan macam squat, bench press, aksi yang functional, semua sama. Tak apa. Buat asas yang sama, tapi lepas itu fasa kedua, then you buat kekuatan dan pergerakan yang khusus untuk sukan itu. So asas dia sama. But lepas bina kekuatan asas yang sama, barulah pergi kepada pergerakan yang khusus untuk sukan itu. Prof, do you think I made that clear?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Lian.
No
Thank
worries.
you so much.
No worries.
Do you have still have time for us or?
Sure. I'm okay, but maybe just sharing. Jika looking at the crowd today, I think in your group, I'll look at some of the problems that we have in training here.
Mm-hmm.
Many of you sound like you are training young athletes.
Yeah.
I know that's why Prof Tandio was so agreeing with me about technique.
Yeah.
I think many of us rush too fast. We rush to make our athletes strong and powerful. We forget that if our technique is correct, first, when the strength and power come from their changes in growth, they will be even better. Don't rush with that type of training. I agree. I'm all for, in school for PE, Malaysia PE system, we are trying to change. In primary school, we are sending our students back to learn how to crawl, how to rangkap, how to lompat, how to run properly. Because our children have forgotten. They never learn how to squat, how to crawl. So this functional movement and all the technique, you see like badminton. Indonesia is a badminton power. Don't worry about their strength. Their strength will come. Do the technique properly. So just to share that, go back to basics. Go back to basics.
Yeah, I'm agree with you. Thank you so much, Lian.
No worries.
Very useful knowledge and experience.
Yeah.
Raya, are you there? Raya? Miss Raya, are you there?
Yes.
Are you there? Okay. Lian?
Yes?
Thank you so much from me.
Yeah, no worries.
Now, Raya will take the mic.
Okay,
Please, Raya.
Thank you, Prof. I'll see you again.
Hello, Lian.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you very much for the guest lectures today.
No
It's
worries.
very beneficial for all of us.
Yep.
And we are very thankful for you for sharing all the knowledge to us. We hope that we can, hello?
Yes, I'm still here.
Yes.
This is for you.
We hope that we will have more and more lectures with you soon. And
Thank
this
you.
is our appreciation for you, certificate of appreciation from our faculty.
Thank you
Thanks
very much.
a lot.
Thank you.
And Mas Mustafa, if anyone want to say something, maybe you can unmute the speaker so some other participant can say thanks to Prof. Lian.
Untuk
Okay.
ISP jangan lupa, Mbak.
Oh yes, yes, and also I would like to share some announcement related to international seminars that we are having this July.
I got that. I got that.
Oh, you got that? Yes, yes. I mean to other participants who are joining this webinar. Yeah, here it is. Anyone, if you are interested to join this international seminars, it's free for participant only. But if you have paper to be published, if you have some article presented, please kindly check our website http. Okay, Prof. Lian, thank you so much for today.
Thank you. I'm leaving now.
I think that's all about
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you,
our
Lian.
webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Prof. Tandio, and thank you all the lectures.
Yep, we'll meet again. See you.
Mbak
Have a good day,
Raya,
everyone.
pengumuman untuk sertifikat, Mbak Raya.
Oh yes,
Alamat
and we
sertifikat.
already
Okay, Lian, you can
posted
leave.
the link for
Thank you so
certificate
much.
in the chat. We already posted the link for certificate in the chat. It is available from now on till the next 60 minutes. So please sign in, please register yourself to get your certificate from now till the next 60 minutes. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.